Him. She sat quietly in the second row, always taking notes, always listening, always working harder than anyone else in the room. To her classmates, she was simply the smart girl. To her teachers, she was a miracle student who made their jobs easier. To Alyssa herself, she was just doing what felt natural. But far beyond the school walls and places she had never heard of, people were watching her very closely. Every morning, Alyssa woke up before her alarm. Her room was filled with neat stacks of books, notebooks, and small projects she had built from leftover parts she found at thrift stores. Her desk lamp was always on, even when she was asleep, because she often stayed awake long into the night working on ideas she barely understood. Sometimes she would wake up with new thoughts in her mind, as if she had been learning something in her dreams. She never questioned where these ideas came from. She simply wrote them down. On the day everything began to change, Alyssa walked to school with her backpack swinging behind her. She loved the cold morning air. It helped her think. While she walked, she repeated formulas in her head, things she had solved weeks ago but still enjoyed reviewing. She did not notice the black SUV parked across the street from her house. She also did not notice the two people sitting quietly inside. Watching her through tinted windows, inside the SUV, Agent Marcus Hale sat with a tablet in his hands. He'd been studying Alyssa's academic records since dawn. Across from him sat Agent DanaPark.com and focused, her eyes scanning Alyssa's path. "There she is," Agent Park said softly. Hale glanced up. "She looks like a normal kid." "She is a normal kid," Park replied. "That's the strange part." The FBI had been alerted months ago when Alyssa submitted a research paper to a national competition. The paper had contained theories so advanced that several experts believed the author had copied them from classified scientific work. But after long investigations, no plagiarism was found. Everything Alyssa wrote was original. That was when the quiet monitoring began. Alyssa had no idea she had caught the attention of anyone beyond her teachers. She simply walked through the school doors with her usual calm expression. Students moved around her, some greeting her, others ignoring her completely. She didn't mind. She liked her small circle of quiet. Her first class of the day was physics. She took her seat, pulled out her notebook, and waited for the lesson to begin. When the teacher asked a question about energy states, Alyssa raised her hand softly. She explained the concept so clearly and with such detail that even the teacher blinked in surprise after class. Her teacher stopped her at the door. "Alyssa, can we talk for a moment?" She nodded, stepping aside. "I just want to tell you again how impressed I am with your work," he said. "Some of the ideas in your last assignment were, well, they were beyond anything we teach here." Alyssa felt her cheeks warm. "I just write what I think," she said quietly. "Of course," the teacher replied, though his eyes showed confusion. "Keep it up." Alyssa left the room feeling unsure. She didn't understand why adults reacted that way. To her, the answers were simple. They came easily. Sometimes she felt that the information didn't belong to her, as if she were remembering something she learned long ago. By lunch, her mind was already deep into another idea. She sat alone with a small notebook open in front of her. While other students laughed and talked, Alyssa scribbled symbols and diagrams that did not match anything from her textbooks. She was writing a new way to organize data systems, something she didn't know she knew. Across the street, in the same black SUV, Agents Hale and Park were still watching. "This is her third notebook this month," Park said as she looked at a live feed from a school camera. "She writes like she's logging discoveries," Hale replied. Park leaned back. "You ever seen a kid like her?" "No," Hale admitted, "and I've investigated a lot of strange cases." The FBI was not watching Alyssa because they thought she was dangerous. They were watching because she seemed connected to impossible information. Some of the symbols she wrote matched patterns found in old classified documents from unidentified sources. The agency wanted answers only Alyssa might be able to give. After school ended, Alyssa walked home slowly. She liked to take her time. The wind moved through the trees, and the sound helped her think clearly. But she kept having the same strange feeling she had been getting for weeks, the feeling that someone was following her. When she turned around, there was nothing there. At home, her mother greeted her with a warm smile. How was school? Fine, Alyssa replied simply. Any homework? Just a little. She went to her room and placed her backpack on the floor. She sat at her desk and opened a blank page. Immediately, her hand began to move, drawing shapes and long curves. They looked like waves layered on top of each other. When she finished, she stared at the page. She did not know what the drawing meant, but she felt it represented something real. At the same moment, miles away, a monitoring system in a federal building picked up a spica, strange fluctuation in a radio frequency band no device on Earth was supposed to be using. The spike matched the exact moment Alyssa began drawing. Agent Hale stood in front of a large screen, watching the data appear. It happened again, he said. Stunned at Agent Park folded her arms. So she produces these spikes without any equipment. It seems so. Do you think she knows? Park asked. Hale shook his head. She's just a kid. But something is happening around her. Something we don't understand. Back in her room, Alyssa felt tired. She closed her notebook and set it aside. She looked out the window at the quiet street below. She didn't know why she felt different from other people, but she did know one thing. She wasn't alone. Sometimes she sensed something calling to her, like a soft voice carried on the wind. She never heard words, only tones strange, gentle tones that made her feel safe. She lay down on her bed and closed her eyes. As she drifted towards sleep, she saw flashes of light behind her eyelids patterns. Symbols and shapes she couldn't name. They came to her like memories. But they weren't hers. Far away, the black SUV remained parked on her street. Agent Hale watched the lights in Alyssa's room turn off. You think she's just gifted? Park asked quietly. Hale exhaled. Gifted doesn't explain everything. And what are we looking at? Park whispered. Hale looked at the house, unsure. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's bigger than her. And we need to understand it. Alyssa fell asleep with her notebook still open on her desk. Outside, the world was calm. But in the quiet space between her dreams and waking thoughts, something far beyond Earth seemed to be watching her to something patient. Something ancient. Something waiting for her to notice it. And soon, she would. Agent Marcus Hale sat in the dimly lit operations room long after most of the building had gone quiet. The glow from the monitors flickered across his face as he stared at the latest reports. Every line of data pointed back to the same girl, Alyssa Rourke. 16 years old, honor student. No criminal record, no suspicious connections. Yet somehow connected to signals and patterns the FBI couldn't explain. Hale rubbed his tired eyes and leaned back in his chair. Across the table, Agent Dana Park typed rapidly on her laptop, her expression calm but intense. The frequency spike from earlier matches the pattern we saw last month. She said without looking up, the same harmonic signature? Hole asked. Yes, exactly the same. Hole sighed. So she drew something in a notebook and Space answered again. Park finally looked at him. Or she answered something else. They stared at each other for a long moment, both troubled by the same thought. Alyssa was not doing these things intentionally. The girl was quiet, respectful, and painfully normal in all the ways that should have mattered. But nothing about her work, her mind, or her strange connection to unknown frequencies felt normal. Whatever was happening to her, she wasn't causing it. She was reacting to it. Park broke the silence. We need to talk to her. Hal shook his head. Not yet. If we walk in now, we scare her and her family. She has no idea we're even watching. If she accidentally triggers something bigger? Park asked softly. Hale didn't answer. There were too many possibilities, most of them terrifying. While the agents debated their next move, Alyssa Rourke slept peacefully in her room, unaware that thousands of data points about her life were glowing on screens miles away. When morning came, Alyssa woke up with the same soft hum in her mind that she always heard after strange dreams. She rubbed her eyes and sat up slowly. Her notebook was still open on the desk, the strange wave-like drawing visible under the lamp. She frowned at it. It didn't look like anything she had ever studied. Yet it felt familiar. She brushed her fingers over the lines and felt a small spark of recognition in her mind, like the design belonged to a place she had never visited but somehow remembered. She quickly closed the notebook, grabbed her backpack, and went to get ready for school. Downstairs. Her mother was making breakfast. "You look tired," her mother said gently. "I'm fine," Alyssa replied. Though she wasn't sure if that was true, the walk to school felt different today. The air seemed thicker. Sounds felt sharper. People's footsteps echoed louder. She looked around more than usual, searching for something she couldn't name. But everything looked normal. Just a peaceful morning, students chatting, cars passing by, teachers heading inside. Except for the black SUV parked across the street again, Alyssa paused for a moment. The same SUV had been there yesterday. Maybe even the day before. She tried not to stare, but something told her it mattered. She turned away quickly and walked inside the school. In the SUV, Agent Hale lowered the binoculars. "She noticed the car," he said, "parkside." "Kids notice everything." "Not always," Hale replied, "but she did." Alyssa went straight to her locker, keeping her head down. She felt eyes on her, though no one nearby was actually looking her way. She tried to shake off the strange feeling, but it followed her into her first class. Math class had always been her favorite. Numbers made sense to her. They felt like a language she didn't have to learn. But today something was different. She opened her notebook, flipped to a clean page, tried to focus on the problem written on the board. Instead of solving it, her hand began moving on its own. She watched, confused and slightly afraid, as she drew symbols that didn't belong to any math lesson she knew. They curved sharply, looped, and twisted into shapes that looked like a map or a coded message. She felt a pulse in her head with each line she drew, like the symbols were syncing with her thoughts. When she finally managed to stop her hand, she stared at the page. The symbols glowed faintly in her memory. Even though the ink didn't glow on paper, a soft tremor ran through her. She quickly covered the page with her notebook and took a shaky breath. No one had seen her. But she felt something watching, her not a person, but something distant. Meanwhile, in the operations room, alarms flashed across the monitors. Park's eyes widened. Another spike. Same frequency, same signature. Hale stepped closer. "Location," her school, Park said. "Right during her first period." Hale grabbed his coat. "Let's go." By lunchtime, Alyssa felt drained. She sat alone as usual, pushing food around her tray but not eating. She couldn't stop thinking about the symbols in her notebook. Why had her hand moved on its own? Why did the shapes feel like messages she was sending or receiving? She glanced around the cafeteria. Everyone looked normal, laughing, talking, complaining about classes. She envied them. She wished she could just be normal too. Then she saw them. Two strangers walking the hallway outside the cafeteria. Dressed too formally to be teachers, man and a woman. They moved with purpose, scanning the hall, exchanging quiet words. Alyssa's heart sped up. She didn't know who they were, but something inside her whispered, "They're here for you." She lowered her head, trying to steady her breathing. She didn't want trouble. She didn't want attention. She didn't even know what was happening to her. She just wanted to finish school and go home. The stranger pair, Hale and Park, reached the principal's office inside. The principal looked confused as they introduced themselves. "FBI?" he repeated, adjusting his glasses nervously. Is there something wrong?" "We're here to speak with one of your students," Park said calmly. "Has she done something?" the principal asked. "No," Park said firmly. "We just need to talk to her." Hale handed the principal a folder. "It's important." The principal glanced at the folder, then nodded hesitantly. "I'll have her called down." But Alyssa did not come to the office, because she was already slipping out the side door of the cafeteria. She didn't know why she ran. She didn't plan it. But something inside her warned her to get away. The same inner voice that guided her drawings now urged her to hide. She stepped outside into the cold air, pulling her jacket tight. Her breath came fast. Her thoughts spun. She didn't know what the FBI wanted with her, but she knew she wasn't ready to talk to them. Suddenly, sound rang in her ears, a soft tone, like a distant bell. She froze. The tone repeated, and then again. Alyssa pressed her hands to her ears, but the sound wasn't outside. It was inside her mind. The world around her blurred. The trees, the sky, the ground all flickered like a glitching video. A strange shimmer filled her vision. She stumbled forward, clutching her head. Behind her, the cafeteria door opened. "Alyssa," a voice called. "Hey," she turned slowly. The world snapped back into focus. Hale and Park stood a few feet away, both stunned by the pale, frightened look on her face. "It's okay," Park said softly, raising her hands. "We're not here to hurt you." Alyssa shook her head. "I don't understand what's happening." "We know," Hale said gently. "That's why we're here." The tone inside her mind pulsed again, louder this time. Alyssa flinched. Hale stepped closer. "Alyssa, listen. You're not in trouble. We just want to help you." "No," she whispered. "Something's wrong. Something is calling me." Park exchanged a quick look with Hale. "Calling you?" Park asked. Alyssa nodded weakly. "I hear it. In my dreams. When I write, when I think too hard, it's like a voice, but not a voice." Hal took a slow breath. "Alyssa, whatever you're hearing, we think it's connected to the signals we've been tracking." Alyssa's eyes widened. "Signals?" "Yes," Park said. "Signals that happen only when you," before she could finish. The sound hit Alyssa, again stronger, sharper, almost musical. Alyssa gasped and dropped to her knees. Park rushed forward, catching her before she fell completely. "Alyssa." The world around them dimmed for a moment, as if someone had pulled the sunlight away. Hal felt the hair on his arms stand up. Something invisible passed through the airwave, a pulse, tremor. Alyssa lifted her head slowly. Her eyes glowed with faint reflections of the same symbols she had drawn. "I remember something." "What do you remember?" Hale asked urgently. Alyssa blinked, tears forming in her eyes. "A place I've never seen. Lights, voices. Something waiting. Something reaching for me." Park held her steady. "Alyssa, you're safe. But we need you to come with us so we can figure this out together." For a long moment, Alyssa said nothing. Then she nodded. Hale helped her stand. Park kept a comforting hand on her shoulder. Together, they walked toward the black SUV. Alyssa looked back at the school, at the ordinary life she had always known, and she realized it was already slipping away. She didn't understand what was calling her, but she knew one thing for sure. Her life was no longer normal, and something beyond. Earth had begun to take notice. Alyssa sat in the back seat of the black SUV, her hands resting stiffly on her lap as the car moved smoothly through the city streets. The world outside looked the same as it always had: cars, traffic lights, shops, people walking on sidewalks, but everything felt different to her now. A quiet fear sat deep inside her chest, mixed with a strange sense of curiosity. Know where the agents were taking her, but she knew nothing in her life would ever be normal again. Agent Park sat beside her, watching Alyssa with steady, calm eyes. Agent Hale drove in silence, his focus on the road. Though his mind was clearly elsewhere, Alyssa finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Where are we going?" "To a safe place," Park replied gently. "Somewhere we can talk, somewhere private." "I didn't do anything wrong," Alyssa said, worry building in her voice. "You're not in trouble," Park assured her. "We're trying to understand what's happening to you, and we think you might be in danger, even if you don't know it." Alyssa's fingers tightened around the fabric of her jeans. "From who?" Hale answered this time, his voice steady. "We don't know yet. Maybe no one. Maybe something. It's what we need to figure out." Alyssa looked down again. She didn't understand the signals, or the symbols, or the strange tones she kept hearing. But she knew one thing: the feeling of being watched was real. It had been real for weeks. After nearly 40 minutes of driving, the SUV exited the highway and entered a quiet, restricted area surrounded by tall fences and guarded gates. Alyssa felt her stomach drop. "Where is this?" she asked. "A federal research facility," Hale said. "We need to run a few tests. Nothing painful, just scans and monitoring. We want to make sure you're safe." The gates opened, and the SUV drove inside. Several buildings surrounded a courtyard filled with antennas and equipment Alyssa couldn't identify. Everything looked clean and sharp, almost too perfect. When the car stopped, the agents led her inside a long hallway with bright lights and white walls. Technicians and scientists passed by, each giving Alyssa a curious glance before looking away quickly. She felt small walking between the two agents. It's like a piece of some puzzle she didn't understand. They entered a quiet observation room. In the center stood a sleek, reclining chair surrounded by soft, glowing screens. "What is this?" Alyssa asked. "Just a neural scan," Park explained. "It will help us see if anything unusual is happening in your brain when you hear the tones or draw the symbols." Alyssa hesitated, then slowly nodded. "Okay." Park guided her to sit in the chair. A technician attached small sensors to her temples and wrists. The chair felt warm, almost comforting. "When you're ready," Park said softly. Alyssa closed her eyes. Her heartbeat slowed, her breathing steadied. For a moment, everything felt normal. Then the tone began, soft at first, then louder, harmonic, clear, calling. Alyssa's head jerked slightly. Her fingers tightened around the armrests. On the monitors, the gentle lines representing her brain activity suddenly spiked. Hale leaned forward. "What's happening?" The technician's hands shook. "She's synchronizing with something." A pulse of invisible energy rippled through the room. Alyssa's voice trembled. "It's happening again." Park moved closer. "Alyssa, can you describe what you're hearing?" "It's a signal," Alyssa whispered. "Like someone tapping into my mind. It's been soft for so long, but now it's clear." "Rur?" Her eyes fluttered open. She wasn't looking at the room anymore. She was looking at something far beyond it. "What do you see?" Hallie asked quietly. Alyssa's voice sounded distant, almost not her own. "Lights, a sky full of colors. Shapes moving. Like they're alive. Like they're watching."
Baz!
Then the tone rose sharply. A flash of white filled her vision. She gasped, and then everything went silent. Alyssa slumped. Park rushed to her side. "Alyssa, can you hear me?" Alyssa opened her eyes slowly. She looked exhausted, but her expression had changed. There was fear there. Yes, but also understanding. "I remember something," she whispered. Hale's voice was calm but urgent. "What do you remember?" Alyssa swallowed hard. "A place I've never been. A starfield. A structure that looks like glass and metal, but alive. Something reaching toward me." She placed a hand on the side of her head. "It was calling me by name." Hallie and Park exchanged a silent look. That was new. Suddenly, the lights flickered, the technicians froze, the screens surrounding Alyssa glitched, displaying quick flashes of unfamiliar symbols, the same ones she had drawn in her notebooks. Park's voice was tense. "What's causing this?" A scientist nearby shook his head. "It's coming from the same frequency we detected earlier. But now it's stronger. Much stronger." The room vibrated faintly. Alyssa felt the tone build again inside her mind. She reached forward and grabbed Park's arm. "It's not random," she said, her voice cracking. "It's a message." Hale moved closer. "What kind of message?" Alyssa closed her eyes, trying to focus. The tone shifted into a rhythmic pattern. Soft, sharp, soft again. Like words formed through sound rather than speech. Her lips trembled as she spoke. "It's a warning." The room fell silent. Park's voice was barely a whisper. "A warning from what?" Alyssa opened her eyes. "There's something coming," she whispered. "Something from far away. And they're trying to tell us before it's too late." Hala took a deep breath and stepped back, trying to hide the fear tightening in his chest. He had expected strange answers, but not this. Not something that implied danger. Not something that implied the signal wasn't human. Alyssa rubbed her temples. They didn't sound angry, just urgent. Like they'd been trying to reach someone for a long time. "Someone like you," Park said quietly. Alyssa looked down. "I don't know why me. I don't know what they want me to do. We're going to figure that out together," Park said, placing a reassuring hand on Alyssa's shoulder. But before anyone could say another word, The lights flickered again. This time, the entire facility shook. Alarms blared. Technicians scrambled to their stations. A powerful surge of energy crashed through the monitors, causing sparks to fly. Alyssa screamed and pressed her hands over her ears. Hale grabbed Park's arm. "Get her out of here." Park pulled Alyssa from the chair and helped her stand. The girl's legs trembled, but she stayed upright. The tone inside her mind reached its highest. Pitch yet so loud she thought her skull might break. She clutched Park's sleeve so tightly her knuckles turned white. "It's here," Alyssa cried. "The signal lit right above us." Everyone froze. Hale ran to the nearest screen, which was still flickering with static. Through the static he saw something. A shape. A massive shape. Not a plane. Not a satellite. Something glowing. Something alive. Park held Alyssa close. "What is that?" Alyssa stared at the screen with wide, terrified eyes. "It's not a threat," she whispered. "It's the one calling. Me." The lights around them went out. Darkness filled the room. Alyssa's voice broke the silence. "They found me." And the tone finally stopped, but the message remained. And now, nothing on Earth would ever be the same again. The room stayed dark for several long seconds. The air felt heavy, almost thick, as if something unseen had slipped into the facility. Alyssa stood frozen between Agents Hale and Park, her breath short and shaky. Her heart pounded against her ribs, and she clung to Park's sleeve, terrified of what might happen next. When the emergency lights finally flickered on, the room glowed in a dull red hue. Scientists, technicians, and staff looked around in confusion and fear. Sparks sizzled from damaged screens. Papers lay scattered across the floor. The entire facility felt different, charged with an energy none of them had ever experienced. Hale took a step forward. "Everyone stay calm." "What's the damage?" "Someone give me a report." A nearby technician shook his head while typing frantically on a scrambled console. "Sir, our system's overloaded." Every frequency monitor spiked at once. It wasn't just her, it hit our entire network. "Any sign of the source?" Hale asked. The technician swallowed hard. "No, sir." The signal disappeared right after the surge. It was like something arrived and then went silent. Park looked at Alyssa. "Did you feel anything?" Alyssa nodded slowly. "I felt presence, like something reached out. Not scare, just enormous, like standing in front of a star." Hale exchanged a worried glance with Park. "We need to get her somewhere secure." "Da!" But before they could move, the red emergency lights flickered again, then the entire hallway hummed. A faint vibration traveled through the floor, up the chair legs, through the walls, and into the air. Alyssa felt it deep in her bones. It wasn't sound. It was something else, something alive, she whispered. "They're trying to talk again." Park placed a gentle hand on Alyssa's back. "Who is they?" Alyssa shook her head helplessly. "I don't know their name. I only feel them." Suddenly the hallway's far end filled with a soft glow. Not harsh like a lamp or cold like a screen worm, soft and almost beautiful. Scientists gasped and backed away. Hale stepped in front of Alyssa. Park did too. The glow thickened into a long vertical shape. It didn't touch the floor or the ceiling. It floated. It shimmered. It pulsed. Hale lifted a hand. "Everyone stay behind me." But Alyssa wasn't afraid. She stepped forward. "Alyssa." Park grabbed her arm, but the girl barely felt it. The glow brightened, humming with the same tone Alyssa had heard for weeks. She took another slow step. Her mind filled with warmth, not fear. Alyssa raised her hand. The glowing shape rippled, then shattered silently into thousands of tiny lights. The lights swirled around her, soft as dust, gentle as fireflies. They floated through the hall, passing through people, passing through walls, drifting like a quiet storm. Everyone stared in awe. Alyssa felt the lights brushing her skin, warm and soft. She closed her eyes and a picture formed in her mind. A Massive structure floating above Earth. A kind of ship, crystal dash-like. Curved, glowing from within, alive in a way human machines were not. Through the vision, she sensed something watching her. A voice, though not a real voice, whispered through her thoughts. "We see you." Alyssa gasped softly. Stumbling back as the light swirled faster, Park caught her. "Alyssa, what did you see?" Alyssa opened her eyes slowly. "They're here, above us. Not on Earth, but close." Hale turned to a nearby guard. "Get satellite visuals. Now." The guard rushed away. Alyssa pressed a hand to her forehead. They didn't come to attack. They came because something else is coming. Something dangerous. Park knelt beside her. "Do you know what it is?" "No," Alyssa whispered. "But they're scared of it. And they think humans need to be warned." Hale frowned. "Why warn us? Why not communicate directly?" "They can't," Alyssa said. "Their technology, their way of speaking, it doesn't match ours. They can only talk through someone who can hear them." "Us." Park's voice softened. "Someone like you?" Alyssa nodded. Suddenly a sound echoed through the building, sharp, metallic, and urgent. Doors sealed. Shields locked in place. The entire facility shifted into lockdown. "What now?" Hale muttered. A scientist rushed into the room, panting. "Sir, you need to see this." They followed him quickly to a large command center filled with screens and equipment. One display showed radar readings. Another showed atmospheric patterns. Another displayed orbital scans. All of them showed the same thing, a massive object in low orbit, something that wasn't human-made. Alyssa stared at the image. Her heart raced. She recognized the shape from her vision. "That's them," she whispered. "That's the ship." Park studied the screen. "It's enormous." Hulla crossed his arms. "Do we know if it's hostile?" The scientist shook his head. "It hasn't made any aggressive moves. It's holding steady, completely still." Alyssa felt the tone in her mind once more. Softer now, calmer. "They're waiting," she said. Hale turned to her. "Waiting for what?" "For me," Park blinked. "For you?" Alyssa nodded. "They want to speak to me directly. They can't do it from up there." No. A deep silence fell over the room. Hale rubbed his temples. "Let me get this straight. An advanced alien ship HFY, that's what it has traveled across space and came here because..." He paused. "A high school student can hear them." Alyssa lowered her eyes. "I didn't choose this. I don't know why they picked me." Park stepped forward and placed a hand on Alyssa's shoulder. "Maybe it's not about choosing. Maybe it's about compatibility." Alyssa didn't know what that meant. She felt the truth in it. The ship's image flickered on the screen as the orbit shifted slightly. Scientists began shouting readings. "They're sending a light signal," one technician yelled. On the screen, a beam of soft blue light extended from the ship toward Earth's atmosphere. Alyssa stepped closer. The tone in her mind grew stronger. She whispered, "They're opening a path." Hale stiffened. "What kind of path?" Alyssa touched the screen lightly. "For communication." Park frowned. "But how? What are they doing?" Alyssa Rourke was known in her school as the girl who always had the answers. But no one ever questioned how she got to. Alyssa closed her eyes, letting the tone guide her thoughts. "They're creating a bridge between their technology and my mind. They want to show me something. Something we need to know." "What happens if you connect with them?" Hale asked. Alyssa hesitated. She didn't want to say it, but she had to. "I don't know," she whispered. "It might hurt me. It might change me. Or it might help save Earth from whatever is coming." The room fell silent again. Everyone stared at the teenage girl who somehow held the connection to something far beyond humanity. Park's voice trembled slightly. "Alyssa, you don't have to do this." Alyssa looked up at her. "Yes, I do." She stepped back from the screen and looked at the agents. "They reached out to me for a reason. They trusted me. And now they need me to listen." Hale sighed heavily. "Then we do this together. You're not facing them alone." Alyssa gave a small, grateful smile. But as the blue light from the alien ship brightened on the screen, painting the room in a soft glow, Alyssa felt the tone rising inside her again, so clear, so focused, so intense. It was calling her this time. She wasn't afraid. She closed her eyes and let the message in. Alyssa stood still as the blue glow from the alien ship filled the command center. Everyone else stepped back, unsure if they should run, hide, or protect her. The air felt warm and electric, like the beginning of a storm. But Alyssa didn't feel fear. She felt a strange calm deep inside her chest. The tone in her mind grew stronger, vibrating behind her eyes. It wasn't painful, just intense, like something was calling her from across a huge distance. She took a slow breath, then opened her eyes. "I'm ready," she said softly. Agent Park stepped close, worry clear in her eyes. "Alyssa, are you sure? You can still say no." Alyssa shook her head gently. "If I don't listen to them, no one else can. They came all this way because they need to warn us. I can't pretend I don't hear them anymore." Hull crossed his arms, his expression tight. "We'll keep you safe. Whatever happens, we're right here with you." Alyssa gave him a small smile. "I know." The blue light on the screen shimmered. Then the beam changed direction, aiming not at the facility, but at somewhere far away from it. The satellite cameras tracked it automatically. Alyssa frowned. "They're showing us something." "Where?" Hale asked. A new window opened on the screen, showing a zoomed-in view of a dark patch of ocean. No islands, no ships. Just endless water. Alyssa stared at the dark waves. "They want me to go there." Park blinked. "To the middle of the ocean." Alyssa nodded. "That's where they want to meet." Holly rubbed his forehead. "Great, fantastic, because traveling to the middle of nowhere to talk to aliens is totally normal." Park shot him a look, but Alyssa actually giggled. Just a tiny laugh. But it eased the tension for a moment. Then the command center lights flickered again. The tone in Alyssa's mind grew sharper, like a message being pressed urgently into her thoughts. A feeling. A warning. Alyssa grabbed the edge of a table to steady herself. Something's changing. They're scared again. Park stepped forward. "What do you mean?" Alyssa squeezed her eyes shut. "The thing they're running from, it's getting close." Hale looked at the screens. "Do we have anything on radar?" The technicians typed frantically, checking every possible system. "Nothing," one said. "No unusual readings." But Alyssa felt it. A darkness. Not literal, but heavy, cold, like the difference between sunlight and the deep ocean floor. She whispered, "It's not something we can see yet, but they can." Hale exhaled slowly. "Then we need to get ahead of this. Pack up, prep the transport. We're going to the coordinates." Park touched Alyssa's shoulder. "You'll be safe." "We'll stay with you the whole time?" Alyssa nodded, but inside she knew something important. Whatever was coming was bigger than any human danger. Bigger than anything she had ever imagined. The helicopter roared over the waves hours later, carrying Hale Park, a small team of armed agents, 2 scientists, and Alyssa. The sun was starting to rise, painting the sky in streaks of orange and pink. Alyssa sat near the window, watching as the ocean below shifted from deep blue to glowing gold. She felt the tone in her mind growing clearer the closer they got. "They're right under us," she whispered. Hale leaned over. "Are you sure?" Before she could answer, the water below rippled. The helicopter shook. Everyone grabbed onto something. "What was that?" Park shouted. Alyssa stared wide-eyed out the window. "They're coming up." The ocean surface split silently. A massive structure rose from below a ship, unlike anything human eyes had ever seen. It looked like crystal and metal blended together, glowing from inside like a giant lantern. Water slid off its smooth surface in sheets. The helicopter pilot swore and hovered at a safe distance. Hale whispered. Alyssa pressed her hand to the window. "They're waiting for me." The ship opened, not with a mechanical door but with a soft unfolding of glowing layers, like petals of a flower. A platform extended upward, stopping just feet below the helicopter. Park grabbed Alyssa's wrist. "Waiter, we sure it's safe?" Alyssa looked into her eyes. "They don't want to hurt me." She gently pulled away and stepped onto the platform. Hale barked, "Stay close." Park followed immediately. Hale reluctantly stepped after them. Gun drawn, though he knew it was useless. The platform retracted, bringing them into the alien ship. Inside, the ship was breathtaking. The walls glowed softly, with patterns like rivers of light flowing through them. The air felt warm and gentle, almost like it was alive. Alyssa felt a presence ahead. She walked forward slowly until a figure appeared. It wasn't a creature with a face or limbs. It was a tall shape of shimmering light, shifting like smoke and crystal at the same time. Not humanoid, yet not frightening. Hale stepped in front of Alyssa, an arm raised protectively. The figure pulsed, and a voice spoke in Alyssa's mind. "Asterisk, we greet you. Listener of our call?" Asterisk, Alyssa stepped around Hale. "Hello?" Park grabbed her arm, but she gently squeezed her hand. "It's okay." The figure vibrated again. "Asterisk, you hear what others cannot. Your mind holds the pattern we need, a pattern that was rare in our time, and even rarer in yours." Asterisk, Alyssa frowned. "Why me?" The light dimmed slightly. Asterisk, because the darkness is coming. A devourer of worlds. One we fled long ago. It has returned. It moves through the void, destroying what it touches. Asterisk, Hale stepped forward. "What does it want?" The being's light flickered. Asterisk, it does not want. It consumes. Asterisk, Alyssa's skin grew cold. Park asked, "How do we stop it?" The figure turned toward Alyssa. Asterisk, she is the key. Her mind can hold the bridge between our technology and your world's energy. With her help, we can build a shield strong enough to repel the devourer. Asterisk, Hale shook his head. "You want to use her? She's a child." The being pulsed. Asterisk, we do not use. We join. Without her, your world will fall. Asterisk, Alyssa felt the truth of it. Deep, heavy, real. She stepped forward. "What do I have to do?" Park grabbed her shoulders. "Alyssa, wait. You don't understand what this could do to you." Alyssa looked up at her. Her voice was calm. "If I don't help, Earth dies." He clenched his fists, jaw tight. He hated this. He hated everything about it. But he couldn't deny the truth in Alyssa's eyes. He exhaled. "If she does this, you protect her. With everything you have." The being pulsed gently. Asterisk. "We will guard her as we guard our own." Asterisk, Alyssa stepped into the beam of light. At the center of the room, warmth washed over her. She felt herself lifted gently off the floor. Park shouted her name, but Alyssa only smiled. She felt millions of stars. She felt the alien ship. She felt Earth, and she felt something approaching from far. Far away, something huge, something hungry. Alyssa whispered into the light, "I'm ready." And the ship answered. The shield began, and the final battle for Earth had begun.